Now we're going to chat about 3 common mistakes that we see in Web3 user acquisition. The first, and perhaps the biggest mistake, is that there are no strong weekly metrics. Think about yourself as a marketing leader in a blockchain company, and that every week you would imagine that you would present to the CEO of the company, how's marketing doing? How are we doing on our campaigns? How many users did we acquire this week? How many users did we retain? And what's the lifetime value of users? As we see it on the market, and based on a survey that we conducted, 63% of growth marketers in Web3 don't have a primary weekly metric that they report to leadership. And only 19% claim they only test very, very shallow metrics. So that's a key mistake and something that is starting to change as blockchain is moving from a hype-based industry to a data-driven industry. The second mistake that we typically see is that there's an undefined value proposition. So if you think about blockchain in essence, it's a database of financial transactions. But somehow in recent years, blockchain was a lot into the hype and was put into the front center stage so that people think blockchain is the essence when in fact it's just the infrastructure. And with this somewhat of a mistake in mind, a lot of the advertisement or a lot of the marketing work that you would have seen was about, check out our product, it uses blockchain, as if that's being conceived by potential users as a reason to start using the product, when in fact, users don't really care about the technology. They care about the utility, and that wasn't well displayed in marketing campaign. The third one is not shining in a crowded landscape. So if you look at venture funding for startups, in 2021, venture funding for startup was bigger for blockchain companies compared to cybersecurity companies, digital health companies, and education tech. That might sound surprising if you're unfamiliar with the blockchain industry, but there's tons of venture capital money that went into those companies. And the number of categories of businesses is not that big. So what you see when you're looking at the market is that if you're looking at financial exchanges, you see many of them. And if you're looking at crypto payment solutions, you see many of them. And if you're looking at crypto games, you see many of them. What that indicates is that every company within every category is facing huge competition. And in order to win the competition, they must shine through it with a unique selling proposition, with very strong brand awareness, with going on the market, putting in your logo, and winning in an over-competitive space. So as a midway summary before we close this section, the key gaps that we addressed and that we're seeing in the market are, firstly, dealing with the anonymity of users on the blockchain. No SMS, no mobile data, no email marketing. That's extremely difficult, and that's something that we need to deal with. The second thing is that growth strategies are manual and non-scalable. It's working okay when it's the first 100 users that you're trying to acquire, but as soon as you want to pour in marketing money, turn on the knob, and get a growing number of users, that's where we see no real solutions in this space, just initial glimpses of that. The third gap is that the on-chain infrastructure is extremely complicated, and as companies leverage that, as they would have used different cloud infrastructure, it becomes incredibly difficult, especially for marketing, to bring over the data, gain control, and find the patterns of what makes the company grow. The 3 common mistakes that we see is, one of them, lack of growth metrics. We don't see a lot of marketers in this space having a marketing weekly in which they track marketing KPIs and display that to leadership so that they can track that over time. The second one is shifting from a hype-driven industry into a data-driven by displaying the utility that you're providing to users and not the technology that you're using behind that. That is the blockchain technology. And the third one is how to stand out in an over-competitive landscape, which is sometimes not well realized. But as soon as it does, Companies need to figure out that they need to create a very, very strong brand for themselves to shine in this space. Now, that part was about the gaps and mistakes that we see on the market. But what about the opportunities? Is there anything about Web3 and crypto that is perhaps better in marketing, providing marketers with some sort of an advantage? That's what we're going to chat about in the upcoming section.